the music industry is brutal. One minute you're going on world tours, the next minute you're disbanding and disappearing. From chart-topping hits to complete train wrecks, these are bands that had it all and lost everything in just 1 year. And yes, some of these stories are super messy. First, we're gonna talk about Guns N' Roses. And I know, it's almost like Guns N' Roses make it into every single video we have here, but that's them in a nutshell. I still remember when Appetite for Destruction hit in '87. It was raw, loud, and nothing like the polished glam rock of the time. Songs like Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child O' Mine, and Paradise City were everywhere. Axl's voice was wild, Slash's guitar solos were unreal, and the band felt dangerous in the best way. Then came Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 in '91, and they blew up even more. But by '93, everything was falling apart. Axl started showing up hours late to concerts. One disaster show in Montreal led to a full-blown riot when Axl walked off the stage early, even though Metallica had to end their set early too due to an accident. Fans destroyed the place. Inside the band, things were just as bad. Axl made decisions without telling anyone, like replacing guitarist Gilly Clark with his buddy. Slash hated it. The fighting got worse, and by '96, Slash quit. Duff followed, and Adler had already been kicked out for drug issues. Izzy left quietly way back in '91. By 1994, it wasn't Guns N' Roses anymore. It was just Axl and session players. Then came Chinese Democracy, which took 14 years and over $13 million to finish. It dropped in 2008, but it wasn't worth the wait. It felt like a completely different band. The shocker came in 2016, when Slash and Duff returned after 20 years of silence. To everyone's surprise, it was great. No drama, no lateness, just classic GNR back on stage. If you're into epic comebacks like this, hit like and subscribe, and let's keep the rock rolling. Most bands don't get a second chance like that, but GNR proved it's never too late to reclaim the throne. Next, we're talking about the Smashing Pumpkins. Back in the 90s, the Smashing Pumpkins were one of the biggest names in alt-rock. I still remember hearing 1979 Tonight Tonight and Bullet with Butterfly Wings on radio non-stop. The Tonight Tonight music video especially stuck with me. It looked like a steampunk fantasy movie, full of old school special effects and drama. It was magical, in a weirdly perfect way. But behind all that, things were getting messy. Billy Corgan wanted control over everything, including the sound, the direction, and even what parts the other members played. He was talented, no doubt, but that kind of control comes with a cost. The band members started to fall apart under the pressure. In 1996, tragedy struck the Smashing Pumpkins. Touring keyboardist Jonathan Melvin died from a heroin overdose, and drummer Jimmy Chamberlain, who was with him, also overdosed but survived. The band fired Jimmy, but their next album lacked the same energy. Bassist Darcy Wetsky left, frustrated by the chaos, and tensions continued to rise. Constant touring, control issues, and personal struggles took their toll. By 2000s, it was clear the band was falling apart. It felt more like Billy Corgan and whoever stuck around. Years later, Corgan revived the band, but it was never the same. The original lineup's unique chemistry couldn't be replicated, and despite fine music, something crucial was missing. The Smashing Pumpkins had a brilliant run, but they burned out quickly, leaving behind a legacy of brilliance and broken relationships. Similar to the Smashing Pumpkins, Creed is another example of what happens when the lead singer messes up badly. Creed was everywhere in the late 90s and the early 2000s. Remember their music videos? Scott Stapp was standing on cliffs, arms wide open like he was trying to baptize all of MTV. He had that deep dramatic voice, and the band leaned hard into that spiritual rock vibe. And for a while, it worked. They sold millions of albums, packed stadiums, and looked unstoppable. But while it seemed like they were flying high, it was total chaos behind the scenes. The band was mostly fed up, mostly with Stapp. He had a reputation for being difficult to work with, and things only got worse over time. By the early 2000s, his behavior became harder to ignore. He was drinking heavily, getting into fights, and clashing with the rest of the group. The show that nearly ended Creed took place on December 29, 2002 in Chicago. Fans packed the Allstate Arena, but when Scott Stapp walked on stage, it was obvious something was wrong. He was so drunk and out of it that he could barely sing, with some fans claiming he collapsed mid-show. The performance was so bad that fans filed a lawsuit for non-performance. By 2004, the rest of the band had enough. Mark Tremonti, Brian Marshall, and Scott Phillips left to form Alter Bridge with Miles Kennedy, and it was the best decision that they made. Alter Bridge found success and made great music without Stapp's drama. Meanwhile, Stapp's solo career spiraled. He had multiple arrests, public meltdowns, and bizarre conspiracy theories, claiming the government was after him. From platinum-selling frontman to tabloid regular, it was a dramatic fall that shocked fans. BBMak wasn't like the usual boy bands of the time. Sure, they had the looks, but they also played their own instruments and wrote their own songs that gave them just enough cool points to win over both teenage girls and guys who usually pretend to hate that stuff. Their debut album, Sooner or Later, dropped in 2000, and it looked like BBMak was about to blow up big time. They had the formula: catchy songs, a clean image, and just enough guitar strumming to separate them from the pack. I still remember that Back Here music video, gloomy weather, wet streets, and them playing guitars in the rain like it was the most dramatic heartbreak ever. It was cheesy, yeah, but it was also in the best way. They got heavy MTV play, they were touring with big acts, and it felt like they were right there with NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. But then, they vanished. Not slowly, not over a few years, literally gone by 2001. So what happened? Well, a few things hit at once. Their record label tried to shove them further into the pop world. We're talking about more choreographed stuff and more of a polished image, which really didn't match what the band wanted to do. At the same time, the whole music scene was shifting. Napster and illegal downloads were tanking album sales. MTV's TRL started leaning more towards rap, punk, and nu metal, and suddenly soft pop rock just wasn't cool anymore. They released a second album, Into Your Head, in 2002, and it flopped hard. Barely anyone heard it, even though it had some solid tracks. The momentum was gone, and the industry had moved on. The label didn't back them that the way they did before, and BBMak quietly called it quits. For a while, you couldn't even find much about what happened to them. No big farewell, no final concert, just silence. Years later though, they actually did reunite. In 2018, they came back with new music and even started touring again. But that magic moment, the one they had in 2000, was long gone. They're more of a nostalgia act now, playing for fans who still remember Back Here like it was the soundtrack to their teenage summers. In the 90s, Oasis owned the Britpop scene. Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, and Champagne Supernova weren't just hits, they were anthems. At the heart of it all were the Gallagher brothers, Liam and Noel. Noel wrote the songs and Liam sang them. However, both of them could not stand each other. But somehow, that tension gave the band its edge. They were loud, brash, and totally unapologetic. For a while, that energy made them unstoppable. But let's be real, everyone saw the crash coming. The Gallagher brothers were fighting all the time. On stage, off stage, in interviews, backstage, it didn't matter. Every time you saw a headline about Oasis, it was usually about another punch thrown, or an insult drop, or a guitar smash. And then came 2009, the year when it all finally exploded. It happened in Paris, just before they were supposed to go on stage at the Rock in Signet Festival. From what I remember, and what pretty much every fan heard later, Liam and Noel got into one of their usual arguments. But this time, it went nuclear. Liam reportedly smashed one of Noel's guitars and started screaming backstage. Security had to get involved. Instruments were trash. I mean, it was just pure chaos. And that was it. Noel walked out. Hours later, he posted a statement that said, "I can't work with Liam anymore." No press tour, no farewell show. They were just done. People were heartbroken. Some were furious. Some took sides. If you loved Liam's voice, you blamed Noel for quitting. If you thought that Noel was the true genius, you blamed Liam for being impossible. It was like a messy rock and roll divorce. But that's enough from me. I want to hear from you. What do you think made these brands lose everything so quickly? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share if you enjoyed the video. If you're curious about brands that quit just after one hit, check out our previous video. And of course, make sure you subscribe for more.